Liam just smiled. As long as you keep me, I won't leave. I can be your secretary for a lifetime. They were more like friends than a superior and a subordinate. The boss never thought about getting married himself, nor did he think about Liam getting married. It would be good if the two of them always maintained this kind of relationship. Oliver, your clothes. The secretary reminded him. What are you thinking about? Stop daydreaming. The boss came to his senses and handed his coat to him. I'm thinking about what Liam was like when he was young. The secretary hugged the clothes and followed him a little behind. Are you saying I'm old now? No. I just remembered that you told me at that time that the whole company was gossiping that you were my mistress. I should have just admitted it back then. And we could have made the fake relationship real. You're talking nonsense again. No. You were very cute at that time. I was immature at that time. The secretary blushed. The party is about to start. Don't drink too much today. There's still a meeting tomorrow morning. Most of the activities at the party were about socializing. The secretary whispered names in his ear, telling him the identities of those he wasn't familiar with. He did his job perfectly. The only problem was that when the boss went to discuss something and asked the secretary to wait in the car, the secretary took his coat with him. As a result, when the boss came out after the discussion, he felt a bit cold in the night wind. When the boss opened the car door, he saw the secretary sitting in the back seat. The warm air was blowing in the car. He had also had a bit of wine, and his face was flushed. He was hugging the boss's clothes and fast asleep. Sitting in the back seat was Liam's privilege. He always sat with the boss. Liam. Liam, Liam. The boss called him softly a few times. The secretary's eyelashes fluttered, but he didn't wake up. It seemed that he had been very tired recently. He smelled a bit of alcohol on Liam's body, mixed with the fragrance of fruits. It wafted to his nose as the heat rose. Sweetly, the boss was also a bit tipsy, so he leaned over and kissed the secretary on the lips. The other party didn't resist at all and let him suck on his tongue. Let's take Liam home first. The driver nodded. Then he leaned the secretary's head on his shoulder and closed his eyes to take a nap. He was still thinking in his mind that he shouldn't have said that the joke was boring back then. It would be quite nice if Liam was really his mistress. The secretary didn't wake up when they arrived home. The boss didn't move, and the driver didn't dare to say a word. It took about 10 minutes for the secretary to wake up. The secretary had slept very soundly. He stretched and opened his eyes, only to find that he was leaning on the boss, and the clothes he was holding were all wrinkled. Oliver, why are you still here? The boss said. We're already at your home, and you're still sleeping. Where else could I go? Sorry, I was really... The secretary apologized in a flurry. As long as he was with the boss, it should count as his working hours. Yet, he had slept for so long. And, your clothes are all wrinkled. Why didn't you just wake me up? You were sleeping so soundly that I couldn't bear to wake you up. Otherwise, people would say I'm abusing my secretary. The driver pretended not to hear. Take the clothes and iron them for me by tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. Oliver, the secretary wanted to open the car door, but it was on the boss's side. To get there, he would inevitably have some intimate contact with the boss, so he had to ask the driver, could you open the door for me? The boss grabbed him and said, all right, I'll open it for you. There's no way a boss would open the car door for his secretary. But Oliver was such a willful person. He drove the secretary to his doorstep and even asked, I've brought you home. Won't you invite me in for a sit? Sure. The secretary stood at the door, about to open it, when he suddenly came to his senses. No. He suddenly remembered the boss's shirt he had left at home. Better safe than sorry. I mean, it's too late. My room is a mess. Maybe next time. Then it's a must next time. The boss showed a very disappointed expression on his face. The secretary felt sorry for him and was about to console him when the boss smiled again. By the way, I kissed you when you were asleep in the car just now. What? The secretary was startled. He looked at the driver in the car. The driver glanced at him for a second and then put on his sunglasses. Are you serious? If you don't believe me, forget it. The boss turned around and waved. See you tomorrow. No, He deliberately dragged out these two syllables, seeing the blush on the secretary's face that hadn't faded but flared up again. The secretary went into the house, holding the boss's clothes and standing there in a daze for a long time. His face was still hot. Although it was 11 o'clock, he was very energetic. After all, he had just woken up. He didn't have any dreams because he slept soundly with an alpha by his side, probably because he had drunk a little wine. The secretary was in a strange state of excitement. He wanted to say something, so he texted Noah and asked him to come to his place for a drink and bring some wine. Noah rented a house very close to his, and he could arrive in 10 minutes. Noah had just received a call from his cousin asking him if it was possible that there was another alpha hidden in the house since Liam wouldn't let him in. Then he received a summons from Liam himself. He grabbed his hidden snacks and pedaled his bicycle over. To be honest, at this hour, the only one who would really come out to drink with him after receiving a call was Noah, because Noah would do anything. Liam also liked this about him. He was a bit silly but very cute. He started taking off his clothes. He removed the shirt clip on his leg and took off the suspender sock clips. These were the things he only wore on the most important occasions to keep his shirt from wrinkling and his socks from rolling up, so as to stay in the best state. Noah was shocked and covered his eyes, saying, "Brother, there should be no physical contact between betas and omegas. I'm just changing into my pajamas." Liam didn't wear the boss's shirt today. He took out his previous blue pajamas. Besides, don't you like Theodore? Noah peeked at him through his fingers and blinked. Who said that? Where did that rumor come from? The boss said so. He poured himself a glass of wine. When Noah tried to take it, he was refused. "You drink juice. I'm afraid you'll get drunk and make a scene." Noah shed tears and said, "I'm not a lightweight." In fact, he didn't know why Liam asked him to drink either, but he would always accompany anyone who invited him. Liam seemed very happy now. After a few glasses of wine, he sat cross-legged on the bed and talked to him. Did something happen? He remembered that there was a certain dinner party today. He wanted to go too, but the boss didn't allow it. Although there were only 2 people in the room, Liam insisted on beckoning him to come closer and whispered in his ear. He said he kissed me. Noah said, "Liam, you're drunk. I'm going to take a picture and send it to the boss." Liam shook his head. "No." He patted the fruit knife left on the bedside table after peeling an apple just now. "If you tell him, you won't be able to leave." Noah timidly raised his hands in surrender. "I won't say a word." "Really? I think you two have a good relationship." Liam picked up the knife. "Oliver cares about you very much." He frowned. "Noah, who do you like?" "I like Theodore." At this critical moment, Noah had no choice but to continue to feel sorry for Theodore. He knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. "I'm definitely innocent with Oliver. Hey, are you jealous?" "Just a little. Just a little." Liam put down the fruit knife. "I'm concerned." He actually envied Noah. He was no longer a good secretary. At first, Liam was very scared. Although the boss said that Noah was coming to be his assistant, he still worried that he would be replaced. It sounded very selfish. It was like a third person had appeared between the two of them, and the time he could spend alone with the boss had decreased. It shouldn't be like this. Considering the company, the boss should have many secretaries. Liam clearly understood this, but he still felt uneasy. In the final analysis, it was because he had selfish feelings for the boss. There was a possessiveness that went a little beyond the superior-subordinate relationship. "But fortunately, you don't seem very shrewd. You shouldn't pose a threat to me." Liam smiled and stroked Noah's head, messing up his hair. "Just be a good assistant to me." Noah's heart was broken in 2020. "Brother, what you say when you're drunk is so hurtful." Liam crushed the empty soda can. "Really? I'm just telling the truth, but you're very cute. Your eyes are a bit like the boss's." "In what way?" Noah blinked. Few people had ever associated him with the boss. "They're both like a dog's." "You're very good at being coquettish." So he couldn't hate Noah. Instead, he was very envious. Noah had such a good personality and was especially likable. He would be late and make mistakes. Although the boss complained about it, he never really punished him. Everyone in the company seemed to like Noah. When he came, everyone would be happy. "I want to switch with you," Liam said. Noah was very surprised. "What? Do you want to live a good-for-nothing life?" Liam hesitated for a moment. "Forget it. It's okay for you to be a good-for-nothing. If I were a good-for-nothing, the boss would stop liking me." When passing by the pantry, he heard Isabella chatting. In fact, it wasn't just Isabella. He often heard people say things like, "Noah is easier to talk to and I like Noah better." Although he was past the age of competing for popularity, he couldn't help but care a little. In the workplace, isn't workability more important? Liam thought so, but he also liked Noah very much. Who could resist someone who could make others willingly clean up their mess even after making mistakes? And Noah himself was very surprised. "Why do you think the boss doesn't like you?" "He clearly likes you the most." "Probably because he likes capable people." Liam added, "You're an exception." "That's because I'm a nepotism hire. Don't tell anyone, but actually the boss is my cousin. So he takes special care of me." "But speaking of exceptions, I think Liam is the real one." Noah scratched his head. "Everyone in the company is surprised that Oliver only decided to make a move on you now." "Cousin? Ours was also an accident. It's better if he doesn't remember. Liam doesn't get rowdy after drinking. He just talks more. Noah, guess why I didn't tell him? Noah was eager to know. I can't guess. Tell me quickly. Because it's precisely because he hasn't had it that he finds it particularly appealing. All of Oliver's romantic partners have been those with whom he hits it off quickly and parts ways just as fast. He doesn't like to be pestered and has no desire to get married. People tend to be capricious after falling in love, just like that woman who drugged him before. She wanted to secretly have a child to keep the boss, but the boss won't be kept by anyone. He doesn't want to get married. I know him best, but even I can be willful, and I'm not even in a relationship yet. It's not okay. A secretary can't be willful. Being willful will cost me my job. Noah didn't expect Liam to think so much. He asked, so, will you really not be with the boss? Liam was exhausted. He was sleepy and wanted to bury himself in the boss's coat and sleep, but he still answered slowly when he heard the question. I think he definitely still likes me. He must like me. Otherwise, why would he tell me about that kiss? Why would he care about other alphas? And why would he unbutton his shirt and do that? Liam is more excessive than his other partners and has bigger ambitions. He wants the boss to belong to him completely. So, take advantage of marriage, even if he doesn't want to. Getting married? I'm in favor of it. Once we're married, he won't dare to leave me. If he dares to divorce me, I'll sell the company's secrets to a rival company. Liam patted the fruit knife. He likes me, so I'll work hard for him. Noah shivered. He felt he knew too much and was in danger of being silenced at any time. Luckily, he's a good 4-0 and poses no threat. By the way, do you know why I asked you to chat? Liam suddenly asked. Because I'm understanding? There's another reason. Liam laughed and fell onto the bed. It's because even if you're sleepy at work tomorrow, it won't affect my work. Noah felt offended and went home angrily with the trash. The boss walked into his own office looking lifeless. 2 secretaries each brought a cup of coffee. Noah was on the verge of knocking his head on the table. The boss was quick-witted and slapped him on the back. What are you doing? Are you here to catch up on sleep during work hours? Noah complained. Liam is also sleepy. Why don't you hit him? Are you just picking on the weak? Liam said guiltily. Yesterday, Liam accompanied me to a business entertainment event yesterday. It's understandable that he's a bit tired. What did you do? Didn't you get off work at 5? Noah replied, I went to take out the trash. Very good. Take yourself out. Go to General Manager Lou to get the documents and come back within an hour. The boss's partiality was so blatant and self-righteous. If Liam is tired, he can go to my lounge and take a nap. He'll work better when he's energetic. Is there any justice in this company? Noah shouted, just this, and yet Liam still thought the boss didn't like him enough, was jealous of him, and even threatened him with a fruit knife. The boss smiled and said, I'm the boss. I'm the law. Even though Liam was used to it, he still felt embarrassed and said, okay, let's work. Don't pick on Noah like this. Noah had already gone out with his coffee. He said, actually, I asked him to accompany me. Work overtime last night. What? It was Noah who accompanied Liam last night? The boss was very unbalanced and said, you wouldn't even let me in, but you let him go to your place? I'm partial to you, but you're partial to him. But it's not appropriate for an alpha like you and an omega like me to be alone. The driver is still watching. Liam asked knowingly, boss, are you trying to pursue me? Oh, I understand. Liam is playing hard to get with him. Can't he see through such a little trick? But the boss still has to cooperate. Yes, are you tempted? Become my wife, and you'll get a higher salary than you do now. Liam asked, will you give me a vacation then? The boss said seriously, we're talking about sacred love now. It's not interesting to bring up work. Do you really want to marry me? Apart from the estrus leave, I've saved up 4 years of annual leave. Will you approve my marriage leave and maternity leave? You want to marry me without giving me any leave. Liam was incredulous. But I haven't had a vacation for 4 years either. The boss tried to justify himself. After all, there are so many things that need Liam, like not being able to find a blue tie. That was an accident. You asked me to prepare a gift for your brother's birthday at the last minute. Was that also an accident? The more Liam talked, the angrier he got, and he wasn't sleepy anymore. He remembered that over the years, apart from work, the boss was like a disabled person in daily life. He even needed others to peel the shrimps when eating out. The boss groveled and compromised. I'll change this in the future, but I'll continue to insist on not giving holidays. Manager Gao has been transferred to the headquarters to work for a week. Isabella brought him to meet the boss. When the two of them walked to the office door, the blinds were not closed, and the situation inside could be seen through the glass. Manager Gao asked. It seems that the boss is quite strict. Will he pick on my mistakes? Isabella glanced and said, you may not believe it, but the one with his head down being scolded is our boss. Noah held a grudge. He hated the boss, as revenge. He stopped Theodore, who was going to report work, and secretly told him, Theodore, there's a plate of cherries under the boss's tea table. I just washed them. He always hides them and won't let you eat. Is this the feeling of being liked? Is this love? It hit the bullseye. Theodore was touched. Noah was so nice to him. He even thought of him when it came to a plate of fruits. He cleared his throat and tried to act calm. Okay, I'll eat them. Noah nodded. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly remembered something and grabbed his sleeve again, saying it's strange. Recently, colleagues at home, at work, have all been asking me about my liking for you. Did the boss say something? Don't take it to heart. It's okay. I won't be bothered by being liked. It's your right to like me. Due to the large number of people and prying eyes in the company, Theodore didn't say this sentence. He patted Noah's shoulder calmly. You've been working hard too. I'll treat you to dinner when I'm free. Noah blinked. Really? Thank you. Manager. Entering the room, he saw the boss writing something on the paper with a serious look on his face. Theodore leaned over and said, What are you doing? I'm calculating whether Liam's accumulated annual leave is enough for getting married. To be honest, if you keep calculating like this, Liam won't marry you even by next year. The boss nodded and said, That's right. Next year's annual leave can also be advanced. Theodore had been caring about Noah a lot recently. Although he had always liked to order Noah around, after all, it always gave him a feeling of taking advantage of the stingy boss. God, Oliver, look what you've driven the employees to. Theodore sighed inwardly, but still continued to boss Noah around. Get me a cup of milk tea with coconut jelly. In response, Isabella, Theodore's former secretary, was glad to have some free time. The newly arrived manager Gao raised a question. If you give all the work to Noah, what will you do? Of course, it's to accompany the car. Manager Gao. Isabella smiled. I like working with handsome leaders. Liam still had some dissatisfaction because, after all, Noah was under his supervision. Always being taken away by Theodore for use made things a bit inconvenient for him. Although he had heard from the boss that Noah liked Theodore, how could love affairs delay work? You have a point. The boss stroked his chin. Just transfer Noah to Theodore. Then what will Secretary Ning do? To be honest, the skills Noah has should not be enough to affect Isabella's position. The boss thought for a moment. Then he'd be short of a secretary. It'd be so unseemly. I'll hire another secretary. No. Liam reacted strongly. What I mean is, I'm more familiar with Noah. The boss hesitated, but I'm afraid you'll be too tired. Take this opportunity to recruit a capable secretary for the company to relieve your burden. Liam's sense of crisis flared up. A capable secretary would surely threaten his position, right? Haven't I been doing a good job recently? Why do you want to hire another secretary? As soon as the words left his mouth, he wanted to slap himself. Who in the world would complain about having too few things to do? Damn it, he'd suddenly become love-struck. However, the boss didn't catch on. Your salary won't be cut. You'll definitely still be the chief secretary. The secretary already wanted to bang his head against the wall. I'm not worried about my salary. You can hire one if you want. I think what you said makes sense. The office really should recruit some new employees with excellent work abilities. I mainly want you to take a rest. If you're so concerned about me, then give me a vacation. The secretary really wanted to knock on the boss's head, but since the blinds weren't closed and there were people outside watching, he held back. The boss sighed exaggeratedly. Alas, Liam should know that I don't know how to live without Liam. I'm unable to take care of myself. Always asking you to work overtime is because I want you to accompany me. The secretary snorted. Do you say the same thing to your other flings? I don't. I swear to God, I've only said such things to Liam. The boss quickly showed his loyalty. You're the only one I want to keep by my side 24 hours a day. The secretary was a bit happy but didn't show it on his face. There's no job that keeps you by someone's side 24 hours a day. There is. Marry me. You'll be promoted to the boss's wife and work 24 hours a day. The boss whispered. You can also get half of my property. Let's see the treatment. I'm still considering. First, let me make it clear that I'm not saying this because of the property. The secretary calculated in his mind that he was approaching his heat period. To be honest, once you've tasted the pleasure of sex, you'll always miss it. Nothing can compare to the boss himself. It's so comfortable. Still wants to be hugged, caressed, and marked. But before that, She has to scare the boss. The secretary took out her phone. What is this? A phone. The secretary shook her head. No, it's a phone that stores all your ex's contact information. The boss was shocked. Although I have records of each of your breakups. Only you know if you've completely cut off contact. My requirement for marriage is to be the only one. The secretary smiled. You should have many options for a marriage partner. But you know, I also have option B. Really inviting me to dinner? Noah exclaimed excitedly and immediately flipped through the boss's schedule. The boss is going to a charity gala the day after tomorrow. He definitely won't take me. Let's go for barbecue. Theodore nodded and said, sure. Send me the name of the restaurant you want to go to. I'll take you there in the evening. I love you so much, Theodore. Noah suddenly felt that his waist didn't ache, his legs didn't hurt, and he wasn't tired from working overtime. Probably because the two of them had a common secret. He and Theodore became much closer. Sometimes the manager would even buy him milk tea. Although Noah was a fan of tapioca pearls and thought adding nata de coco to milk tea was heresy, friends should understand each other. He decided to get some benefits from his cousin too. We can sneak back to the company that day. I have the key to the boss's wine cabinet. We can have some fun in his office. Theodore obviously forgot what consequences a drunk Noah would cause and readily agreed. Although Noah is a bit clumsy, he is very likable. I think it's not impossible to develop a relationship with him, Theodore said. He also said I look like a big Korean star? The boss scoffed. He said I looked like this star the year before last and that star this year. Theodore remained infatuated. It doesn't matter. That's probably love is blind. Maybe his sexual orientation has changed now. Betas can also have children. There is a chance. It's just that I hope the kids won't be as stupid as him. The boss waved his hand and said, don't worry. His stupidity is acquired. It's because his father beat him. Why did his father beat him? Because he used his second uncle's Rolex to crack walnuts. I'm a responsible person, so I had to take care of him. To be honest, did you egg him on to do it? Boss, you can't put it that way. I just gave some suggestions, and he insisted on putting them into practice. Besides, haven't I been taking care of him all this time? I even pay him for just buying a cup of milk tea every day. Where can you find such a kind cousin? Theodore. Then, kind cousin, did you get Liam? The boss was speechless for a moment, so close. He still misses that alpha. He even said that guy is his option B. One day if I catch that guy, I'll definitely beat him up in a sack. Oliver, what's making you frown? Theodore asked. Without waiting for the other to answer, he answered himself. It's love. The boss sighed. Then what's making me smile? Theodore said with a smile. It's love. Love grows over time, and the two are in love. Are you envious? The boss put the plan of transferring Theodore to the Indian branch on the agenda. The boss, who can't wait to stick to the secretary 24 hours a day, is more like a secretary than the secretary. He keeps asking if the secretary wants to drink water or take a rest. This annoyed Liam. Can you just leave me alone? Did I assign you too little work? Are you already annoyed with me before we get married? Liam was both angry and amused. Now, right now. Go and sign the documents on your desk. Okay. I guarantee to complete the task. After the boss left, Noah complained. Why has he been like this lately? He thought for a long time but couldn't pick a suitable word from his limited vocabulary to describe the boss. Well, he's just like a dog that has seen a bone. Liam was both physically and mentally exhausted. He buried his head in his arms and asked, what's the date today? It's the 18th. The rut is coming. He subconsciously touched the back of his neck and then checked the inhibitors in the drawer. No wonder I'm so tired. How about you go to the party with the boss? I want to go home and sleep. Noah shook his head frantically. No way. Theodore invited me to dinner today. I also promised him that I'd open the boss's liquor cabinet. Just kidding. Are you and Theodore in a relationship? No, we're just friends. Noah stroked his chin. If I were to talk about dating, I prefer betas. After all, you can't smell their pheromones. The boss is wearing a gray suit today, paired with that blue tie he searched for a long time. His hair is neatly combed. He looks quite presentable, and the secretary is very satisfied with his appearance. The banquet is still the same as usual, filled with socializing and drinking. The secretary tries to drink as little as possible because alcohol can reduce the effectiveness of the inhibitor. At the same time, he also has to worry about the omegas who come close. He has to admit that the boss is a top-notch eligible bachelor and is very attractive to single omegas. He feels a bit of small pride, but also a bit jealous. The secretary secretly gets jealous every day. And Omega secretly asked him why Oliver didn't bring a partner and if he was single now. He thought to himself, Are you blind? Isn't that me as his partner? Sorry, Oliver doesn't want others to pry into his relationship status, nor does his secretary. The boss himself had his mind completely on the secretary. He was still thinking about what the secretary said, that an alpha would come to him, and he had been on high alert these 2 days. The secretary's estrus period had always been very punctual, and it was most likely to be tonight. He hoped that he would be the only alpha within a radius of 100 miles. Getting a little closer, he could already smell the wafting fruity scent from the back of the secretary's neck, mixed with the smell of alcohol at the banquet, carrying a slightly tipsy sweetness. The secretary even smiled at him. God, he almost wanted to hide the secretary. This Omega was exuding the smell of being in heat all over. The boss was in great agony all the way until they reached the secretary's home, especially in the enclosed carriage where the secretary was leaning on his shoulder with eyes closed. So eager to mark, Liam, boss you. The two of them spoke simultaneously. The boss coughed twice and said, you go first. Liam got even closer to him, with his lips almost touching his ear. The smell of pheromones was everywhere, and the boss could hardly breathe. Do you still want to come up to my place and sit for a while today? The secretary asked. Is it what I think it means? The boss was stunned for a moment. This surprise came too suddenly. The secretary turned around and went upstairs, saying, forget it if you don't want to come. Wait, I do. I really do. So should I buy some condoms before going upstairs? The boss asked sincerely. The secretary didn't answer, just showing him her back. He took out his phone and immediately told the driver to go back on his own. He wasn't going home today. Originally, he was going to buy condoms, but he was afraid that if he waited one more second, the secretary would change her mind and lock him out. Being overwhelmed by lust was rare for the boss. He seemed impulsive, but those impulses were all actions he took after weighing and thinking it was okay. Only when it came to the secretary, after weighing the pros and cons for a long time, as soon as the other party spoke, he would take the bait. The secretary stood at the door and called to him, if you come in, I won't treat you as the boss anymore. Understand? Understood. As my wife, right? The boss couldn't help but push the secretary into the room and locked the door behind him. He was afraid that others would smell the scent of his Omega. The secretary shrank back. The inhibitor had gradually lost its effect along with the alcohol. He didn't plan to take 2 more pills. After all, there was an alpha right in front of him who was always ready to offer himself. The tall alpha looked down at him. His well-styled hair was a bit messy, and a few strands of bangs had fallen out of place, looking very sexy. Then it's time to kiss, right? The secretary grabbed the boss's tie. Good, it was blue. He found it, and then looked up and kissed him. What a familiar night. It's too tight, Liam. Relax. I won't make you hurt. You said the same thing last time. Didn't you still be very rough? The secretary protected his belly. He remembered the time. Be gentle, okay? Last time? What last time? The boss was extremely shocked. That alpha. Who else could it be but you? You've ruined me. You won't let me fall in love with others, and you don't come to love me. The secretary stroked the boss's messy hair, with a blurred and gentle look in his eyes. I should have waited longer. It's all your fault. Will you really marry me? The secretary could also weigh the pros and cons. She knew how many confidential documents of the X group and how many of the boss's personal relationships. The boss would be afraid of them being leaked, right? The boss didn't dare and didn't want to let her go. He used a high salary instead of affection to keep her. She should have waited. She wanted to buy a house closest to the boss. She planned to wait until the boss couldn't get rid of her and then close the net. But she couldn't wait anymore because the boss proposed to marry her. I've never had more than one option. The secretary complained. The boss's heart was pounding. It wasn't because he was afraid that she would jump to another company and leak the company's secrets. Nor was it because he was afraid that her relationship would affect her work. These were all excuses for him not to be able to leave the secretary. They were superior and subordinate and friends. They had gone through hardships together, but it was difficult to take the step of being lovers. If it weren't for the appearance of option B, the boss wouldn't have taken action. They could have an indefinite, ambiguous relationship. They were both very patient because they were too cautious. They wouldn't act as long as there was a possibility of ruining their relationship. I love you very much. Really, I really want to get married. No one else will do. The only one I'll never get tired of is Liam. If it's you, I could look at you for a lifetime. When the boss said these words, the secretary was already in full heat. She pulled his hand and placed it on her lower abdomen. I believe you. She turned her head and exposed her fair neck. Mark me. The boss was overjoyed, hugging the little secretary. He even wanted to hang a banner at the company entrance that read, "Warmly celebrate the successful office romance in the company." The boss is happily engaged to marry the secretary. The secretary was pinned down, hugging the pillow and hanging her head, exposing her smooth nape to him defenselessly. His secretary was like a helpless little animal, all pink all over, with teary eyes, grabbing his hand and relying on him as the only support in the turmoil. The boss bit on the gland and heard the sobbing groans of the person beneath him. "Don't cry. Liam is my little follower. I'll take him wherever I go." He kissed the Omega's side face. The secretary's rationality returned as the heat was coming to an end. "No, I want a vacation." The boss hung his head dejectedly and pitifully hugged the secretary. "Then, does what you said about liking me still count? If not, he would drag the secretary to work right now." The secretary nodded and said, "You have to accompany me after the heat. Otherwise, I'll quit my job." Noah woke up and glanced at his wrist. There was no watch. The bed was a bit hard, not like his. Noah's mattress was thick and soft. He turned around and found Theodore sleeping on the other side of the bed. He looks quite handsome with his eyes closed. Theodore has a face like the male lead in a Korean drama. And he is tall. At first glance, one's heart will skip a beat. Moreover, they are sleeping in the same bed. Wait, the same bed? Noah was so scared that he thumped and fell to the ground, waking Theodore up. Theodore crawled to the edge of the bed and looked at him. "Are you awake?" Noah hugged himself absent-mindedly. Where are my clothes?" Theodore patiently explained, "You were drunk and vomited. I soaked your clothes in the basin." "Then why are we sleeping together?" "You wouldn't let me go. I was also afraid that you might have an accident when you were not sober at night. So we slept together." Noah weakly looked up. "Did we just sleep together? Then why does my butt hurt?" Theodore was speechless. "You probably fell on the ground just now. I didn't touch you. And stop pulling the quilt off the bed. If you're cold, just come back up." "Oh, okay." Noah climbed back onto the bed and got under the covers. He was in a daze for a few seconds, probably remembering what he had done last night. He was extremely embarrassed. "Sorry, Theodore. I'll definitely drink less in the future." Theodore remembered how hard he had worked last night to clean the sofa and the mess for the boss, and how he had carried the drunk Noah home, bathed him, and put him to bed. He couldn't help but feel aggrieved. If it weren't for the fact that he liked him so much. Theodore gritted his teeth. He would definitely have thrown him in the middle of the road. He calmed down his mood and decided to educate Noah. "Do you remember what you did last night?" Noah nodded and said sincerely, "I remember. I shouldn't have kissed you without your permission and invaded your privacy. Did I bite you badly?" Theodore gritted his teeth and said, "No, it's still functioning properly. Do you know where you went wrong?" "I was wrong in." Noah carefully observed his expression and squeezed out an idiom. "I shouldn't have judged others by myself." Is this the right way to use this phrase? Theodore told himself not to be angry with Noah. It wasn't worth it. His point was, your behavior was too frivolous. Even when you were drunk, even when facing someone you like. Noah quickly admitted his mistake. "I really know I was wrong. I was drunk and thought you were my ex-boyfriend." "Sorry, it's good that you know you're wrong." Ex-boyfriend? Theodore was puzzled. Why hadn't he mentioned it before? "Do you still have feelings for him? Weren't you irresistibly attracted to me?" "Well, basically not. But you know, I haven't had sex for a long time." Noah nervously fidgeted with his fingers. "I still knew it was you when I was talking, but later I couldn't tell." Theodore was in a daze. Was Noah a playboy? Did it not matter who he had a relationship with? "Noah, what exactly do you think of me?" "Huh? Aren't we friends? What's wrong?" "Then the secret you asked me to keep." Noah slapped the quilt and said, "This, right? I still have to thank you, but this secret doesn't matter now. I think the two of them are about to get together. Even if I tell it now, Liam won't kill me." Theodore choked back a mouthful of blood and said, "So this secret belongs to Liam?" "Yes, that's right. Liam's mark was made by the boss." Noah retracted into the quilt and lay flat. "Theodore, I want to take a day off today. Can I sleep a little longer?" "Go ahead and sleep." Theodore also lay back in the quilt. "I also feel like I haven't woken up yet. Isn't it love? Isn't it love? Manager Gao today. Isabella, no one has come to work yet." In less than 10 minutes, the whole company knew that the boss had marked Liam. The mark on the secretary's neck was terrifyingly fierce, and the pheromones were as if the boss was present in person. Everyone who saw it would make a detour, although no one was surprised. "Then why didn't they come to work yesterday?" Manager Gao asked. "What? Are they a couple?" Except for Manager Gao. To be honest, the secretary really wanted to put on the neck ring again, but the boss threatened to cry. make a scene and not give him a vacation, so he had to barely cover it with medical gauze and didn't dare to use the blocker. This is too much of a show. Don't you think it's a bit of an impact on work? Without turning his head, the secretary knew that there were at least 5 employees in the corridor they just passed by staring at the back of his neck and whispering. He felt that the boss's way of showing off was a bit childish. Well, actually he quite enjoyed it. Especially when the boss held his hand and said sincerely, "But I want everyone to know. How about we go and get the marriage certificate today? You haven't proposed to me again." The secretary pulled his hand back. He suddenly noticed a vague figure in the office full of pink bubbles. Ahem, pay attention. This is the company. Noah, why do you look so listless? Most afraid of the sudden concern from the sister-in-law. Noah lifted his head from the desk and showed a smile with 4 parts of confusion, 3 parts of desolation, 2 parts of daze, and 1 part of unruly. Report, I seem to have hurt a fragile heart yesterday. The boss patted him. It doesn't matter. Do you know? Noah. I know. The boss, I'm dating Liam. Noah, I know. Boss, actually, the reason I didn't come to work yesterday is because you know. Noah was furious. I've already said I know. If you keep talking, I'll... Then, he found that he had no way to threaten the boss, and his voice weakened again. I'll not ask for no ice in your milk tea. The boss laughed loudly and went out the door. Everyone knew he was in love. Only then did Liam ask, "What's wrong? Is it Theodore? Did you vomit on him?" Noah whispered, "Including but not limited to this. Anyway, he has some misunderstandings about me. He thought I liked him, so it's a rumor. You don't like his type?" Liam asked. "Then who do you like?" Noah slapped his thigh and said, "Chanwoo." "Well, it's not that Park Seo-jun is not okay. It's just that I didn't expect. If he doesn't mention this matter, I'll just pretend not to know to save him from embarrassment." Liam said, "You're really considerate. Also, I seem to smell Theodore's pheromone." Noah was a bit unsure. He was afraid it was an illusion from drinking too much at night. Maybe it was the smell of red wine? But how could a beta smell it? The boss actively placed the treasured cherries on the table. "Theodore, I have to tell you a really great piece of good news." Theodore, alas, the boss. "Just yesterday, I officially got together with Liam. I think it's necessary for everyone to share my happiness. Do you think I should give the employees a red envelope as a token?" Theodore, alas, the boss. "You're right. Then I'll do it. By the way, how do you think I should propose to Liam? Should it be a bit more romantic?" Theodore, alas, the boss. "Good idea. I'll hide it in the cake. He should like ice cream cakes better." Theodore couldn't hold it back anymore. "Can you care about me for a bit? I've been sighing for a long time." He looked at the boss, with a touch of sadness and a bit of indignation in his eyes. The boss quickly covered his eyes to avoid deciphering the emotional spectrum in his eyes. "I know. You're heartbroken, right? Look on the bright side. You haven't lost much." Theodore shook his head. "I lost a pair of pants." "Theodore, what makes you sigh so much?" the boss suddenly asked. Without waiting for the other to answer, he replied himself, "It's love." Theodore felt that the scene seemed a bit familiar. "Then what makes me so happy?" the boss said with a smile. "It's love. Love that grows over time and mutual affection. Are you envious?" There was a rumor in the company that Theodore left in a huff for the Indian branch. "Let me help you with this document." As soon as Noah reached out his hand, Theodore snatched the document first. Without even raising his head, he said, "Isabella, go and deliver this to Manager Gao." Isabella rolled her eyes and took it. Noah reached out his hand towards another proposal. "I'll shred this useless document." "Isabella." Theodore pulled the proposal out of his arms. "Shred it on your way to deliver the documents." "Okay, manager." Noah was still not giving up. He asked Theodore, "Do you want to have milk tea?" "No, and I don't have afternoon tea either. If I need anything, I'll ask Isabella to get it for me. You can go back." Theodore looked like he was burying his head in serious work. "I'm quite busy. I have a meeting later." Isabella clomped out in her high heels. "I won't run errands for you. Let Noah do it. I'm not your servant." There were only 2 people left in the office. Theodore pretended to work seriously, while Noah was at a loss. Neither of them said a word. After a long silence, Theodore looked up and was startled. He thought Noah had left, but in fact, the guy was still standing there, with his head down, looking at his toes. "You," he carefully chose his words. "What are you still standing here for?" Well, the careful word choosing was in vain. This remark sounded a bit hurtful. Noah pinched the corner of his clothes and asked very slowly, "Why don't you let me deliver things anymore? Do you hate me?" "No, but you're not the secretary in my office originally. It's okay to let Isabella do these things." Theodore was about to say something else but stopped in time because he noticed Noah's eyes were red. Don't cry. I'm not bullying you. This is to let you do less work. Oh no. He didn't expect Noah to be so unable to take criticism. Shouldn't it be himself who should cry? I don't feel tired, but you're distancing yourself from me. Is it just me who thought we were friends? Noah sniffled. Anyway, you know I'm the boss's cousin. If you keep doing this, I'll ask my cousin to transfer you to India. Are you threatening me? Theodore was in a daze. No. Tears welled up in Noah's eyes. The boss won't listen to me. He even deducted my salary. Liam doesn't listen to me either. He even threatened me with a knife. And you. You too, right? You ignore me and I can't do anything to you. At most, I'll spit in your milk tea. Theodore's heart skipped a beat. The balance of his sympathy tilted towards Noah again. He said, I'll talk to you. Don't cry. Noah also knew that crying like this was a bit of a foul. It was Theodore who was embarrassed, but he was forcing the other person to say they were friends. This kind of behavior seemed so scheming. But then he thought, he had been an honest person for more than 20 years. It should be okay to be a bit scheming occasionally. There was one thing he wanted to confirm. That is, whether the pheromone he smelled that night was really Theodore's. I'm afraid I'll get confused if I drink too much. Theodore, does your pheromone smell like red wine? We didn't open any red wine that night, right? Noah wiped away his tears, pulled out a chair and sat down. You released your pheromone towards me, right? Yes. Theodore buried his face in his hands. It's not appropriate to talk about this during working hours, right? This sounded like he was in heat towards Noah that night, although it was indeed the case. Noah also banged his head on the table, sorry, because it was the second time I smelled an alpha's pheromone. I'm just very curious. The office fell into an eerie silence again. If a beta smells pheromones, it means the pheromone concentration in this space is quite high. And when an alpha releases so many pheromones, it's naturally a courtship signal. So does it mean that Theodore has feelings for him? Noah's face was burning. Finally, he blurted out a question. Theodore, are you a very conservative person? I mean, it's been a long time since your last. Yes. Theodore gritted his teeth. But I'm not a person with strong self-control. If you're not interested in me, you'd better stop seducing me. I'm not completely uninterested either. Noah quietly tugged at his little finger. Can I buy you milk tea? The boss was at the ring store when he suddenly received a call from Theodore. What are you doing? You didn't reply to my message. Have you seen the photo I sent you? Do you think Liam will like this style? The boss held the phone a little farther away. Do you have any illness? Does anyone invite you to have milk tea? No, right? No, right? The boss hung up the phone. Liam, did you catch a rich husband? Secretary's mother beamed. She didn't often come to her son's place. This time she came with his father and cooked a meal for him. I said, that boss of yours seems quite nice to me. Don't you believe it? I said the way he looks at you is quite meaningful. The secretary was tidying up the wardrobe, taking out the clothes one by one and folding them. He put the spring and summer clothes on top. He is quite nice. He dug out the boss's shirt. The smell on it had already faded, but now he could hug the man himself. He had to find time to return this boss substitute. Speaking of meeting the parents, they were actually quite familiar with each other. During the spring festival, the boss always called him over for a few days and took him along to pay New Year calls and visit relatives. After making the rounds outside to maintain client relationships, they would go home. The boss's older brother is taciturn and already married. The boss's father likes to grow bonsai. The boss's mother likes jade. And the boss's second uncle loves to buy watches. The secretary comes with gifts every year and knows the preferences of the whole family very well. Except for the fact that Noah is the boss's cousin. Damn it, now that the secretary thinks about it, he is still unhappy. Why didn't they tell him such a thing? It made him jealous. How stupid he was. Although we have met the parents many times before, it was always in the capacity of superior and subordinate. Aren't we preparing to get married this time? The boss's eyes were always so sincere. We have to inform them first so that I can propose to you properly. The boss sat at his family's dinner table, dressed formally and with a serious expression. If someone didn't know better, they'd think he was there for a ribbon-cutting ceremony. He said he didn't know what to bring, so he bought a lot of gifts, including wine and fruits. When he stood at the door, he was so clumsy that he didn't have a free hand to knock on the door. The boss took his hand and whispered, Liam, I'm so nervous. Feel it. My hands are all sweaty. The secretary thought the boss was so cute. Why was he so lovable? He even asked him 5 times what color his tie should be today. Don't be nervous. I like you. And they'll like you too. Really? Really? My mom likes you a lot. No, it's the first time you've said you like me so straightforwardly. The boss blinked. I like you too. Liam, the secretary's father, who witnessed all this, was shocked. He thought, these young people nowadays are really not shy at all. Does my son like this type? The boss had also made a lot of preparations for this day. He remembered that the secretary's mother was a full-time housewife whose hobby was cooking. So he specially bought a pot. The secretary's father was a university professor who liked to drink tea. So he also bought some. He was confident that he could get a full score in the written test. But he didn't know how he'd do in the oral test. He nervously looked at the secretary's father. During the conversation, he tried his best to present himself as a successful, knowledgeable, and responsible person. The look in the future father-in-law's eyes was just like the look the secretary had when picking a tie for himself. Could he be the lucky tie? The secretary's mother was very enthusiastic and kept putting food on his plate. The boss quickly complimented. Auntie, your cooking smells really good. This sweet and sour fish is the freshest I've ever had. It's not fishy at all. You've handled it so well. The mother beamed with joy and said, That's right, I captured his father's heart with this sweet and sour fish when I was young. Then, she changed the subject and started scolding her son. Why doesn't Liam take after me at all? He can't do anything and eats takeout every day, right? The secretary coughed twice and said, Mom, I can do a little. Although what he cooked was not very delicious. He didn't often cook himself because he thought it was troublesome. He usually ate noodles. The only things he could cook were scrambled eggs with tomatoes, stir-fried carrots with meat, and egg drop soup with seaweed. The boss thought, it's time for me to show off. I think what Liam cooks is actually not bad. He's just busy. So he usually just boils noodles. The noodles probably get mushy because he's doing other things while cooking. The secretary gave him a look. Well, I mean he can multitask. After all, I haven't eaten his cooking many times, so I don't have much say. However, I can't cook either. Oh no, I can't cook either. Will Andy think we're not suitable? No one will cook, and we'll eat takeout every day. Also, does Liam think I'm speaking ill of him? I have to save his face. We can learn how to cook gradually in the future. Let's work hard together. Liam is mainly focused on his work. He's very busy, but he has excellent work abilities, and his colleagues all admire him very much. Well, I'll also learn how to cook. Anyway, it's not because of cooking. The boss became more and more muddled as he spoke. I just like Liam. I like everything he does. The secretary banged his head on the table. The secretary's father twitched the corner of his mouth and picked up his chopsticks. It's good, Oliver. Have some food. The secretary's mother said while picking up food for him. Changing the subject, it's not easy to learn how to cook either. But you have to learn how to tidy your clothes well. I saw that your clothes are all wrinkled. What clothes? The boss was completely confused. It's the white one. Well, it's so big. It clearly isn't Liam's. He is also so disorganized. When I came, it was just lying on the bed. The mother asked, There's your name embroidered on the collar. Isn't it yours? Huh? The secretary, who had just raised his head, knocked it on the table again. He wished he could knock his head into the center of the earth and bury himself. Oh, it's this. So Liam would secretly hide my clothes. The boss couldn't help teasing him. What did the dedicated Liam do with the boss's clothes? The secretary hit him. Stop asking. You like me so much. It's all because you marked me before. The secretary blushed. And you didn't even give me your pheromones. I'll give it back to you after I wash it clean. The boss suddenly became listless again, hugging his shirt and sighing. Did I not perform well today? Will your parents think that alas, what score do you think they'll give me? Pass. The boss visibly wilted, looking like a stray dog that had lost a fight, pitifully looking at him and asking, Then what should I do? Can I still marry you? The secretary grabbed his tie and said, It doesn't matter. You can bribe me. There will be bonus points. Then she gave him a kiss and added, After all, I like you more. The boss gets a perfect score from the secretary. Although betas have a less sensitive sense of smell, and although I'm not very sensitive to pheromones, but Noah leaned against the door with files in his arms. I can still smell that scent. Liam coughed twice and straightened his collar. I'll go and announce the meeting this afternoon. The boss remained calm. Yes. So what? We did it right here. It's a leader's privilege. You guys. If you keep this up, I'll make a fuss. How can you throw condoms into the office trash can? They belong to other waste. Noah waved his arms about, but the boss was as thick-skinned as a city wall and remained unmoved. After Liam went out, the boss signaled to Noah that he had a secret instruction. Noah leaned in to listen. The boss whispered, Help me pick up the cake and bring it to the office. Noah was speechless. Why don't you ask Liam to do it? Oh, are you trying to hide the fact that you're having a cake from him? If you keep eating like this, you'll get cavities. The boss shook his head. Just go and get it. Don't ask so many questions. The boss hid the engagement ring in the lower compartment of the cake, planning to surprise Liam this afternoon. He thought the secretary would like something romantic. He didn't know that hiding a ring in a cake was an outdated method. He had already hired a band and a video recording team to document this historic moment. He didn't plan to tell Noah because he didn't trust his cousin at all. What if his acting was too over the top, or he accidentally let the cat out of the bag? That would really ruin the moment. Noah reported the boss's number and got a cute little cake. God, isn't this the new product wine heart chocolate date cake? He hadn't had the chance to taste it in the past few days because he was too busy with work. Unexpectedly, the boss is so good at choosing. Noah's eyes lit up. Please wrap another one for me. Thank you. Noah, carrying 2 cakes back to the company, thought, there's a ready-made one here. Why do you still need to make a reservation? Oh, maybe it's so popular that you need to book in advance. He was so lucky to be able to eat it. He would treat Theodore to cake today. He gave the cake to the boss, and the boss then turned to give it to Liam. Liam, do you want to have some cake? Liam hesitated and said, it's not appropriate now. How about having it after work? Noah said, what's inappropriate? It's just having some cake. You guys even... He was covered by Theodore's hand and taken out, avoiding the danger of being killed by Liam on the spot. Theodore said, don't interrupt them. There's something big going on today. Let's just watch from the door. Really? Noah blinked and took out the cake. Then do you want to have some cake? It's a new product. With wine, filled chocolate. Let's watch while eating. I suggest you eat less of something so sweet. But considering you thought of me specifically, it seems a bit unappreciative of me if I don't eat it. Theodore took out a fork and took a bite. This is the last time this week. Noah nodded. You said there's a big deal. What is it? He peeked inside through the blinds and felt that the two were just eating cakes. Under the boss's expectant gaze, Liam took a bite of the cake. It tasted good, so he put it down. The boss said, take 2 more bites. Eat more. Liam took 2 more bites, still not finding anything wrong, but the boss's intense gaze made him feel extremely uncomfortable all over. Finish it all. I think you've been working so hard and need some high-calorie food to replenish your energy. After you finish eating, let's start working. Hurry up and find the ring. Hurry up. Then be touched by my romance and thoughtfulness. After that, the band and the flowers hidden in the lounge will appear, and the photographer will record this romantic moment. Liam, I've finished eating. Then what? Let's start working. He was a bit stuffed from eating and didn't understand what the boss was up to. The boss fell into deep thought. Where is my ring? Take another look at this box. Hearing the words, finished eating, the band behind the door immediately pushed the door open. Flowers were scattered everywhere, with the sounds of violins and saxophones. Liam was startled. The MC was enthusiastic and facing the camera, saying, disappointment is sometimes a kind of happiness. Because we have expectations, we will be disappointed. Because there is love, there will be expectations. Liam shook his head and picked the petals off his head. Oliver, do you have something to ask of me? Boss, happy Tuesday. Isn't it quite a surprise? Noah was completely confused and said, what are they doing? Theodore said, proposing. Proposal? Where's the ring? It can't be that cheesy thing of hiding the ring in the cake. The secretary sneered mercilessly, holding a fork in his mouth. He forked the cake again and found that he had reached the bottom. Hey, why is the bottom of this package so thick? There isn't much cake. Then he noticed a red box stuffed in the compartment at the bottom. What's this? Noah opened it. Hey, it's a ring. Suddenly realizing something, Noah exclaimed in panic, this ring couldn't be. Theodore nodded. Yes. Theodore, am I going to die? Noah was in a daze. I'll leave first. You return the ring to the boss. Where are you going? Sniffing, Noah said, I'm going to write a resignation report. Or, just write a suicide note. Dear cousin, when you read this letter, I've already set off for the Indian branch. Before I knew it, we've known each other for more than 20 years. Thank you for always taking care of me. Now that I've grown up, it's time for me to find my own vast world. I've entrusted Theodore to return the ring. I wish you and Liam a long, lasting relationship, a happy marriage, and may you have children soon. Your loving cousin. Cousin, I'm really so touched after reading this letter. The boss held the sticky note and shed crocodile tears. Silly boy, how could cousin really be angry with you? It's all my fault. I should have bought you a cake too. If you leave, who will I share my newly bought spring limited tiramisu with? Noah popped his head out from behind the door. Really, brother? Of course it's fake. The boss rolled up the report into a tube and rushed forward. You good for nothing. You can't do anything right but have a good appetite. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your second uncle. Help. Oliver, you can't kill people in the office. Noah was so scared that he tried to run outside. But who knew the boss, with his long legs, got to the door first and locked it behind him. So he had to hide behind Theodore. Theodore, save me. Theodore shielded Noah and tried to persuade the boss, saying, let's talk things out nicely. Don't beat the kid. Are you protecting him? The boss smiled sinisterly. How could I bear to let my cousin suffer alone? Well, as my good friend, why don't you go to India with him? You can take care of each other. I was wrong. I really was. Bro, who would have thought you'd do something as tacky as hiding a ring in a cake? I'll definitely help you next time. Okay, you think I'm tacky? The boss gasped. And you're talking about next time. How many next times are there in life? The boss chased, Theodore blocked, and Noah ran. Liam opened the door with the key and came in, asking, what are you guys doing? The boss stopped and said, we're playing Eagle Catches the Chicks. Liam pretended to believe it. Is this also part of the Tuesday surprise? He pushed both Noah and Theodore out, closed the door, and when he turned around, the boss's grievance was almost visible to the naked eye. What's wrong? It's okay. The boss leaned his head on his shoulder and hugged him. The secretary patted his back to comfort him. I think it's quite a surprise. The boss was still very unhappy. He asked, is it really very tacky to put a ring in the cake? He had been happy for a long time when he came up with this idea, but it turned out that he was already out of touch with this era. No, I didn't get the ring. It's quite novel. The secretary comforted him. Obviously, this comfort hurt the boss again. So you also think it's old-fashioned? The boss, who was invincible in the business world, actually lost in the proposal. What a great shame. The secretary, who paid the most attention to the sense of ritual, must also be looking forward to a special proposal ceremony. Apart from being rich, he seemed to have nothing else to offer. He clearly wanted to give Liam the best and make him feel romantic and happily agree to marry him. Are you very disappointed? The boss was on the verge of tears. I think it's quite good and very creative. I like it. The secretary held his face and kissed him. Do you want to do it again? I want to be proposed to by you for the third time. Then you forget the first 2 times first. Okay. The secretary cooperated with all the boss's childish behaviors. The next second, he pretended to have amnesia and asked in a very surprised tone, what just happened? Why can't I remember anything? Boss, do you have something to tell me? The boss nodded. Yes, I have something to ask you. Tell me. We've been working together for 7 years. You've endured a lot of hardships with me. And even after we've established a firm foothold in the company, I haven't let you enjoy much. I have to admit that I'm a heartless boss. I don't want you to take a vacation, and I don't want you to fall in love with others. I just want to monopolize you, the secretary, and don't want to let you go to anyone else. I didn't want to get married originally. I thought getting married would delay my work and I wouldn't have any freedom at all. I subconsciously ignored your feelings and just thought it would be good for us to be together all the time in the future. But this is wrong. Our relationship should be clearer. Being ambiguous will only hurt you. It's because of you that I want to get married. No one else can take your place. The secretary can be someone else, but my wife must be you. He took out the ring and knelt down on one knee. Liam, I have something to ask of you. Please marry me. The secretary reached out her hand and let him put on the ring. I've agreed. But said Liam, the secretary can only be me. Would the heartless boss allow the secretary to fall in love? As the saying goes, don't let the fertilizer water flow to the fields of others. If it's with the boss, then it's okay.